My parents never wanted me, so they bought me a broken-down car, hoping I'd crash somewhere and they wouldn't have to deal with me again. In the end, their actions cost them both their sons. Their favoritism toward my older brother, who's 20, was always clear. For his 18th birthday, they gave him a car, not brand new but a well-maintained 20-year-old Lexus. He rubbed it in my face throughout his senior year of high school. Compared to my brother, I got grades as good as his, sometimes better. I worked hard, hoping for fairness, and even volunteered cleaning up trash in our area. But when I turned 18 a few weeks ago, all I wanted was a car. Nothing fancy, just something reliable like my brother's. My party was nothing like his. For his 18th birthday, my mom baked a layered chocolate pudding cake from scratch. For mine, I got a flat supermarket cake. His party had a DJ. Mine had my dad's old boombox with a couple of random CDs. As the party wound down, I asked why I didn't get a car when my brother did. They said they felt he'd earned it more. I asked what he did that I didn't, since I did everything he did and more. My grandmother overheard and chimed in, asking them the same question. She ended up lecturing them, saying she was disappointed in their blatant favoritism. She announced to everyone still there that my parents thought it was fine to give their eldest a car and a DJ but not their second son. She even pointed out how much more effort they put into my brother's 18th birthday. My uncle was the first to speak up, followed by others who hadn't left. I went in my room to process it all. Several relatives called to apologize, and my grandparents convinced me to go out with them that night. When I got back, my parents were furious, saying I'd humiliated them in front of the family. I walked past them, not wanting to fight. The next few weeks were tense and silent. Then, a few days ago, they surprised me with a white 1998 Subaru Legacy that ran great. They practically tossed me the keys and title in an envelope, telling me to have fun. They're paying for insurance for 6 months just like they did for my brother. I know a car isn't a right but a privilege. Yet I feel like I guilt-tripped them into buying it. Update: 5 months later, I haven't logged into this account in nearly 5 months, so here's what happened before school started. First, to those who messaged me saying I should return the car because I'm spoiled, should accept life's unfairness, or shouldn't take gifts from bad parents, please stop. My inbox was flooded when I logged back in. I needed a car because there was no way to get a job without one. I live over 10 miles from the nearest bus stop with no public transport. Anyway, I got a part-time job that turned full-time over the summer after graduating. 3 weeks into the part-time job, the Subaru blew its head gasket on the highway at about 45 miles per hour. The temperature gauge hit the red and I had to pull over for help. My grandparents checked it and found excessive sealant in the coolant. The car was barely held together when my parents bought it. It drove fine, and I'm a cautious driver, so I hadn't pushed it. My parents claimed they didn't know about the issue, shrugging it off as bad luck. That was a mistake, as my grandparents were there and tore into them. My grandmother told me to wait in my room while they sorted it out. 2 hours later, they called me back. My parents looked defeated on the couch. My uncle and other relatives were there too. My grandparents revealed that my parents bought the cheapest car they could find locally that still ran, without inspecting it or reading the listing. My uncle, who knows cars, said the head gasket failure warped the engine block, and fixing it would cost more than the car's worth. I had to tell my job I couldn't come in because my car was dead. They were understanding and gave me unpaid leave for now. I had no part in what happened next. My grandparents told me to stay calm and let them and my parents handle it. A few days later, they came back with a 1999 Honda Civic hatchback, white like the Subaru, with 180,000 miles. It's not all-wheel drive, but it handles great and gets better gas mileage. It came with a list of recent repairs like a new radiator. My uncle inspected it and gave it the green light. I thanked them profusely. My parents weren't happy for me. They said little and left. Unlike last time, there was no pretense of giving a kid a new toy, just pure defeat. The Subaru was sold for $400 due to the blown head gasket, and I saved that money. But that's only half the story. I wasn't kidding when I said I did better in school than my brother. He got a 30% scholarship after high school. I got a 50% one at a comparable university closer to home. My parents were stunned but visibly displeased once the shock wore off. I didn't ask why, but my grandmother did, confronting them head-on. She asked if they were proud of me, their second son who was exceeding expectations. Were they hoping I'd fail? What was their problem? My mom looked upset and my dad couldn't meet my eyes. Humbly, they said they were happy for me and wanted me to conquer the world at college. They even promised to help pay part of my tuition like they do for my brother. My grandparents sternly told them they'd better keep their word, as favoritism was never okay. I thanked my parents for their help. My dad gave a light handshake, my mom a tight hug, but it felt forced. The room felt emotionally empty. I asked my grandparents if they knew why my parents acted this way. Was I an accident? They looked at me like it was time to tell me. I'm not adopted, as some asked, but I wasn't planned. My parents wanted a girl and a boy but got 2 boys. My brother came out as a boy, so they hoped for a girl next. They agreed to stop at 2 kids. They refused to learn my gender until birth, convinced I'd be a girl, and bought tons of girl clothes. When I wasn't, I wore my brother's hand-me-downs until I was 3 because they'd overstocked on girl stuff. My grandparents said my parents' mindset was messed up, but it's been so long that expecting change is pointless. Since then, my parents barely talk to me about college. They avoid it. Thanks to warnings from some of you, I got paranoid and called my university, asking them to verify any calls or emails from someone claiming to be me or my parents saying I wasn't attending. I doubt they'd do that after everything, but better safe than sorry. Unexpectedly, my brother called to talk. Our grandparents told him everything. He apologized in his own way, hoping I wouldn't have to return home once I was on my own. He confessed he's staying in his college state because he loves it, despite our parents' pressure to return. I said I might do the same. The conversation was awkward. We're not used to talking much. My grandparents and family threw me a surprise party that weekend, almost a replica of my brother's 18th birthday, with a DJ and a huge chocolate cake my grandmother made. I'm deeply grateful. My parents attended but were aloof, sitting quietly at a corner table, drinking in silence. Their defeated look was even stronger. I think the party was partly to rub it in their faces that they should have done better. The family made their disappointment clear, and my parents looked like they wanted to leave but were shamed into staying. My grandmother said, "You're never too old to learn humility." Personally, I went full-time at my minimum wage job after high school, saving hard before college. I'm giving my 2 weeks notice soon and want to leave on a good note. I doubt I'll update again, so thanks for reading. Update 2 years later. It's been 2 years, and I'm posting one last time in 2024, as my brother and I both pursued 4-year degrees. For those who remember, I'm the guy whose parents were called out by family for blatant favoritism toward my older brother. My grandmother later revealed they treated me differently because they wanted a daughter. After I left for college, she shared more. My parents were so sure I'd be a girl that they bought heaps of girl clothes without checking my gender via ultrasound. About a year ago, my grandmother told me my mom tried raising me as a girl for my first 6 months, dressing me in girls' clothes and using a different name. My dad went along with it. My grandmother showed me old family photos of me as a baby in pink, with a visible tag showing the girl's name they'd chosen. When this came to light, my grandparents confronted my mom, saying it was wrong to raise me as something I wasn't without choice. Despite our traditional family, my grandparents were surprisingly open-minded and pushed my parents to stop. They did, but instead of buying new clothes, they gave me my brother's hand-me-downs for years until my grandparents intervened again. Learning this made me realize my grandparents spared me a worse childhood and only told me a couple of years ago. I'm immensely grateful. Apparently, my mom struggled to use my real name for about 2 years. Since they didn't get the daughter they wanted, they refused to bond with me like they did with my brother, their real son. When my grandparents learned I wasn't getting new things like him, they threatened to seek custody with evidence of everything. My parents, hating public scandal, stopped using hand-me-downs and pretended to care for a while. But as I grew, this turned into indifference, maybe even resentment. I'm not sure. Hate implies caring, but indifference is the opposite of love. They couldn't accept that their unwanted son outperformed their favorite. Since I moved out, they've barely interacted with the family, throwing themselves into work, partly because the family forced them to contribute to my college like they did for my brother, but also to avoid everyone. My grandmother suspects they've slept in their cars sometimes to avoid home. Over the last 2 years, I only saw them at Christmas at my uncle's, and they barely spoke to me. Living my best life away from them, they stopped pretending I was their son. They don't want me after the family humiliation they feel they suffered, though they know they brought it on themselves. They've become workaholics with little else. My grandmother said my room is untouched since I left, but they keep my brother's clean for his return. That didn't happen. They flew to his graduation, celebrated big, and didn't invite me, though I couldn't afford to go. My grandparents went and filled me in. My parents were convinced he'd return home. Awkwardly, he told them he got a job through an internship and an apartment. My dad was furious. My mom cried and begged him to come back, but he refused. Over the last 2 years, my brother and I reconnected a bit. He found my Reddit account and called. He wasn't mad, just wanted to talk. He admitted our parents put him through a lot too. Our mom smothered him, especially when I wasn't around, and our dad had strict expectations. My outperforming him despite their investment in him broke them. Now they're more broken since he won't return. Their treatment of him also caused our sibling disconnect until recently. He bullied me as a kid because being the favorite went to his head, but it was conditional favoritism. He sought therapy after moving out. He also has a girlfriend from college, kept secret because he knew our parents wouldn't approve. When they found out, they didn't, and my mom called her a speech therapist without meeting her. She's actually a nursing student, a year from graduating. My brother says she's amazing. I haven't met her, but she sounds great. My grandmother said my mom hired a private investigator to dig into her, only to be annoyed that she's from a good family and politically aligned. My mom blamed her for my brother staying away, though he decided that before meeting her. My dad stayed stoically silent. When my mom told my brother about the investigator, he ripped into them, sparking an argument about how they gave him everything and he was ungrateful for not returning. He countered that being the favorite was also abuse, as they nearly molded him into them. That crushed them. He told our grandparents, who organized another family intervention, which I joined via video call. My parents tried ignoring me, but my brother insisted they address me. We all told them enough was enough. They had 2 sons and needed to treat us fairly. They let something as petty as my gender at birth ruin their love for me from day one. My dad snapped, yelling, "You want us to admit we screwed up? Fine, we screwed up. What do you want us to do? Time travel? We're paying for his damn college. What more does he want?" The intervention ended badly. My mom cried and apologized, but it didn't feel sincere. She apologized more to my brother via video call, crying until he told her to apologize to me properly. My dad grabbed the phone, hung up, and told everyone to leave. My grandparents' last words to them were that losing both sons might teach them never to favor one. My parents are now estranged from the family. My grandmother heard they might move, but they own a paid-off house and have great careers, so it seems foolish. With my brother not returning and me likely not either, I guess it doesn't matter. I doubt they'd welcome me if I visited. I'm still grateful for their college help. It cut my loans significantly. But as parents, we can agree they failed.